'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the night, something felt wrong, something just wasn't right. For some families, waiting the hours ran thin, a father who vanished, a stranger peering in. While some wrapped their gifts and slept safe out of sight, others whispered for comfort in rooms lit by night. Not every Christmas is warm, safe, or bright. Some memories follow you long past that holy night. Merry Christmas, everyone. I don't really talk about this. Honestly, I've spent most of my life trying not to think about it, but the worst thing that ever happened to me happened at Christmas. And every year, the memory comes back, whether I want it to or not. I was 9, and it was Christmas Eve. The tree was up, the lights were glowing softly, presents were already wrapped. My mom was in the kitchen finishing some baking, and I was lying on the living room floor with a puzzle book. It was supposed to be a calm, warm night. We were waiting for my dad to get home from work. He was running late, but he was always running late. So at first, nobody panicked. Then an hour passed, then 2, then 3. My mom kept checking the clock, the window, and the phone. She tried to keep her voice even and calm, but even at 9, I could feel that something was shifting, like the whole house was getting tighter. She called his office. No answer. She tried again. Still nothing. Christmas morning came and went, and instead of excitement, there was this quiet, nervous dread taking up every room. The police got involved. They searched the roads, his workplace, every route he normally took, but ultimately they turned up nothing. 4 or 5 days passed, and we were barely functioning, barely eating, barely sleeping. It felt like the air in the house had gone stale. Then one night, it started snowing. Soft, slow flakes falling outside, like the world was trying to hush us. The house felt incredibly cold. My mom went to the fireplace, kneeling down to get a fire going. She paused, not suddenly, just the slightest hesitation, like she caught something in the air and she wasn't sure about it. A faint smell. Not strong, not enough to be obvious. Just off, like something warm that shouldn't have been warm. Something a little sour under all the cold. She leaned in again, trying to brush it off, but it lingered in the air, just noticeable enough to make her frown. She didn't say anything to me. She just stood up slowly, went to the phone, and called the police again. One officer came, just his cruiser pulling quietly into the snow. He talked to my mom for a moment, then walked straight to the fireplace. He crouched down, pulling out a flashlight and aimed it up the chimney. The moment he looked, I saw something change in his posture. He didn't say a word, just swallowed and stood up. He told my mom that he would need more help, so he was going to call the fire department, and that when they showed up, they would go up onto the roof and open up the chimney. And when they did, they found out where that faint, wrong smell was coming from. It was my dad. He was wearing a Santa suit. He had a bag of presents with him. He tried to climb down the chimney to surprise us, something he probably thought that would make for a magical Christmas moment, something he thought that I'd remember forever, and I did. Somewhere during the climb, he slipped or lost his balance. No one ever figured out the exact moment that things went wrong, but it didn't really matter. He fell, broke his neck, and he died instantly. He'd been up there the whole time, above us, while we waited, while the police searched, while my mom cried herself to sleep, but he was already gone. I know he was just trying to do something special, make a moment that lasted the rest of our lives, and he did, just not in the Hallmark movie kind of way that he was hoping for. And that's also how I found out that Santa Claus wasn't real. This story takes place 4 years ago, and it still haunts me to this day. It was Christmas night, and my family was driving home from this fancy restaurant. Everyone else was exhausted, but I wasn't, so that 45-minute drive felt like it was going to last forever. To make things worse, my little sister wouldn't stop complaining about how her friend didn't get her anything for Christmas. Non-stop whining, non-stop noise. After about 20 minutes, my dad pulled into a gas station to grab cigarettes. My mom, my sister, and my brother all got out to use the bathroom, but I stayed in the car. I'd already gone before we left. So, there I was, sitting alone, bored, just scrolling through games on my phone. I glanced at the dashboard clock. 10 minutes had passed. 10 minutes. And that's when I started wondering why they were taking so long. I looked out the window, and then I saw him. A man, standing in the dark, staring directly at our car. I had no idea how long he had been there, and the worst part is he didn't have a single expression on his face, just blank, empty, like he was carved from cold stone. He was standing far enough from the lights that I couldn't make out any details, but I could tell he was maybe 5'9", maybe middle-aged, and definitely watching me. The moment he realized I noticed him, he started walking towards the car, and I won't lie, I was terrified. But just as he took those first few steps, my dad came out of the store with the rest of the family. He opened the door, visibly frustrated, saying he got into an argument with the cashier. My mind was spinning. I didn't hear the explanation. I was just relieved that he was back. When I looked again, the man was still standing there, still staring, but this time he looked annoyed, like he was angry my family was interrupting something. We drove off, and for the rest of the ride home, I couldn't stop thinking about him. I wish it ended there, but it didn't. Later that night, my whole family was asleep, and I was in bed watching YouTube. A storm had rolled in. Rain was hammering the house, and honestly, storms always make me feel cozy. I put my phone down and just listened, but then something slammed into the window behind me. I lurched forward, almost falling out of my bed. I figured that maybe it was a branch or something hitting the glass due to the storm. So I pulled the blinds open, and what I saw next has burned itself into my memory. A man, that man, standing out by my parents' car, looking up, straight into my window. I leaned closer to be sure, and my heart dropped into my stomach. It was him, the man from the gas station, and when our eyes met, he grinned. Not a friendly grin, not a nervous grin, a slow, twisted, I know exactly what I'm doing grin. I was 14 and I did the only thing my body would let me do. I screamed at the top of my lungs. My dad came bursting into my room. "Why the hell are you screaming?" I told him everything, every detail, every second of what had happened at the gas station and what I had just seen outside. He grabbed a baseball bat and told me to call the police. Those 10 minutes waiting felt like an hour. Finally, the police arrived and they found the man. He was hiding in our shed. They arrested him, handcuffed him, and dragged him out. And that was the last I ever saw him. The next morning, my dad inspected the house, and that's when he found the back door handle damaged. It was bent, almost broken in half. The man tried to get in, and if that window hadn't scared me, if I hadn't screamed, if my dad hadn't grabbed that bat, I don't want to think about what could have happened next, because he wasn't just staring at the house, he was choosing which one of us to go after. Last December, I got that call. My grandma on my dad's side had died. It was devastating, but she had been quite sick, so it wasn't completely out of the blue. I traveled for the funeral, and being back in my hometown hit me harder than I expected. It triggered my depression pretty fiercely, but I was holding up well enough. On Christmas, I sat with my grandma on my mom's side, and I joked that she wasn't allowed to get sick. We had a good talk, but with all the chaos of the night, I didn't get the one-on-one time with her that I had wanted. I had things that I wish I had said to my other grandma, and I didn't want to repeat that mistake, so I made plans to visit her a few days later. That night, she got sick and had to go to the hospital. My gut just knew. Everyone kept telling me that it wasn't a big deal, but deep down, I knew exactly where this was going. And at the same time, a tooth infection spread across my whole face. I had no money, no insurance, and no way to get help. I had to suffer through it. The pain was unreal, the kind that takes over your whole body. I couldn't move, and I was taking dangerous amounts of Tylenol. I'd wake up screaming because it was the only reaction my body had left. At one point, I passed out in the bath and had to be pulled out. And the whole time, I just kept thinking about my grandmother, hurting, alone, in a hospital bed. It destroyed me. Eventually, the call came. the one that I had been bracing for. She wasn't going to make it. I needed to get to the hospital immediately. My friend took off work to drive me. Even through all of the pain, all I could think about was how neither of my grandmothers deserved any of this. I held both of her hands and told her that it was okay to go, even though it absolutely wasn't okay for me. I needed her, but I was losing her. At her funeral, some of the grandkids were asked to do a reading. Too long for one person to handle alone. They asked me, but my mom told them I could barely talk or function because of the infection. She was right, but I didn't care. I took a fistful of pain relievers and got up there. I read my part like Jesus himself was in the front row. I put every ounce of pain and hurt into those words. It was the last thing that I could do for her. It's been a year now, and I'm not over any of it. The depression, the physical pain, the grief, they all twisted together into something heavy and hard to carry, something that still sits with me. I still can't think about that time without my brain trying to block it out. But I've learned one thing. I'm not healed, but I'm still here. And for now, that has to be enough.